Right, let's look back on the FA Cup weekend with Danny Kelly. Hiya, Danny.
Yeah, nothing better to do, so here's Danny. Yeah.
In the absence of anything better to do, here's Danny Kelly.
How are you guys? All good?
Yeah,
All
we're not
good,
too
yes.
bad. We're not too bad.
I could start with a general overall question or overall general question. but we
Okay,
don't-
what is it? Is it a general overall question or an
I have
overall
no
general
idea.
question?
It's a question.
Is it a question about overalls? It's not, is it?
No.
Go on.
There's only one big team left, Danny, in the FA Cup.
Oh,
Manchester
blimey, that's
City.
contentious.
Well, I think that's true, isn't it? Top 6 team.
Oh, go top 6 team.
Yep.
Okay, I thought you meant,
Yeah.
right, fair enough.
So, does that make for a better FA Cup or not?
It makes for a much better FA Cup, I think. It's too predictable. I think I'm right in saying that in the last half a century, bear that in mind, half a century, only once has there been a final, Portsmouth-Cardiff, without one of the Manchester teams, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs or Chelsea, and that's a reflection of the reality of modern football. But what a relief to see other teams getting a chance. And look at Brighton. They've never won a major trophy, and it would be an amazing kind of, what's the word I'd use, confirmation of the way they've been run over the past 6, 7, 8, 9 years. If they were able to do it. So, Andy, I get it. I hear that, you'd want great big teams slugging out in the semi-final, but I don't have any of that feeling at all. I think it's better for it.
It's actually the first, I saw this little stat in the Sun today, first time in 41 years, 83-84 campaign, that Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United and Tottenham are all missing at this stage. I'm with you, Danny. I think from the neutrals' point of view, it's, I mean, look, City is still there looming with players coming back, and if ultimately
I don't
they
want
win
Brighton winning anything.
Oh yeah, you're
so
so
smug.
bitter, so bitter. But there are some good teams in this. I mean, Fulham Palace, I imagine, will be an entertaining game. Bournemouth, I think, will give City a really good game at their place.
Yeah, I mean, the draw fell the right way there. If that was in Manchester, you'd think that's probably tilted it too much towards City. That should be a great game, by the way.
Yeah, and Fulham looking for a bit of revenge after that league defeat a couple of weeks ago. Some cracking games coming up. Let's reflect on what we've seen so far.
Okay.
Where should we kick off? We should maybe kick off with Manchester United versus Fulham. That has taken up an awful lot of column inches, of course.
It was a shocker, wasn't it?
I mean, we've had all the fallout from Wayne Rooney, naive gate, and Amorim hitting back. It wasn't. Look, they both had chances, Danny. Both had more than enough chances to see it off before the key moment.
Look, it's one of those games that if you're, a fan, or if you're like us, playing at being pundits. It was an odd game because Fulham could say they played well. They had 60% of possession away from home. Manchester United had 20 shots. They could say they played well, and yet everything about the evidence of your own eyes was it was a rather dull game, with neither side being able to get out of. I suppose. I mean, everyone drives automatics these days. They couldn't get out of second gear. They couldn't get out of second gear, could they?
Yourself, aren't you? That's right.
They couldn't get out of second gear there, could they?
No.
It's the form. If you'd said at the start of the game, Fulham will win this, you say, well, that's the form result. How they got there is another thing altogether. A rather clunky football match. Yeah. Went to penalties. Oddly enough, because you start with this because Manchester United are the big name and their departure from the tournament is the big story in many ways. It's probably the least dramatic of all the ties that were played over the weekend, or at least controversial as well.
I was thinking, though, that yesterday about a link between what Ineos and Radcliffe are doing at Manchester and the general atmosphere around the club. Because in any organisation, if people are losing their jobs, if people are asked to take less, if they're getting less perks, if they're not getting a proper lunch or whatever, they only get sandwiches.
Is it a general malaise, is it?
Does that feed through to the whole club? I can't think it's healthy.
Well, the players, I mean, when the manager's gone on and said, look, ultimately we're responsible for this, what we're doing on the pitch feeds into these redundancies. You're carrying a fair bit of weight as a footballer, aren't you, if you've got any kind of conscience?
That's exactly once Ruben Amorim said that, and credit to him if that's what he believes. The link between what's going on the grass and what's going on in the much wider context of the club was made. So there's not even a question about it. And if you're one of the players, it must be difficult because they're letting go hundreds of employees. The monthly wage of any one of their superstars who are failing on the pitch would have kept all those people in work. Now, you could argue that it's not the job of football clubs to be kind of employment agencies, But equally, clubs that are disconnected from their communities tend not to be very successful. It's a horrible. They may have to make changes, Manchester United. They may feel that it's necessary. How they've gone about it, and particularly the timing of it, and the publicity surrounding it has been a disaster for them.
The contrast between, sorry, Paul,
yeah.
when they were a family club under Fergie ruled the roost, but everybody who worked there felt like a part of a family.
Managers like Matt Busby and everything that they,
I think that's gone.
And it goes back to that line that Teddy Sheringham said the other week, where he felt it didn't have the same vibe about the place when he went recently. It didn't feel as family orientated. Where will they be without Bruno? Has often been the case. He's often scored the goal to get them out of trouble. But Martin Samuel in the Times, Andy, you're telling me, said he wouldn't fancy him anywhere else.
No, he didn't think he was good enough for any of the top teams. He only looks good at Manchester United because of the rest of them. It's quite a damning sort of.
What do you think, Danny?
He's in a pretty good Portuguese team. They don't seem to not pass to him because he's so useless. I like Martin a lot, and I enjoyed working with him on talkSPORT over the years. But I think he's entitled to his judgment. Yeah. I think he's a fantastic footballer. Look at the goal he scored. If he only does that in the game, he's made a significant contribution to the team effort. Also, I think there's a tendency, for whatever reason, perhaps because he's so technical, to call him lazy and stuff. I think he works his socks off. Now, some of it is not always to the best effect, but that's because I take the opposite view to Martin. I think he is being dragged down by being in a very bad team. What
do goalkeepers say to players when they try and put them off before penalties? What would be the ideal thing to say? Do you go up and you say, "Oh, you're going to miss this one," and or do you come up and say, like, 5 players who played internationally and all? Do you know what I mean? Do you give them a question?
Cooper trivia.
Yeah, we're going to have a Keith Cooper trivia. Or what do you say to a guy that's trying to get inside his head just before he takes a pen? We saw Leno do it and Onana yesterday.
Well, look, they've taken the penalties in the shootout now. Has become kind of bonkers, hasn't it? I saw there was one of the games, I can't remember which one it was, where the players were trying to protect the ball from the opposition goalkeeper while also trying to protect it was this shootout, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They're also trying to protect the penalty spot from being scuffed up by the opposition. There were about 14 players arguing over a square foot of ground and trying to gain a marginal advantage. I mean, I've got to be honest, I don't think the goalkeeper should be allowed to come anywhere near the penalty taker.
No, that's right. They should have to stay in their box, shouldn't they, really?
Absolutely, because one day there's going to be a proper falling out and somebody's going to get lamped.
Yeah.
And I don't look forward to that day, honestly.
Yeah.
But stay on your line, stay in your penalty box, shut up.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.